everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. It is time for our weekly Friday book reading. And today we are going to be moving on to chapter 13. We are really moving along with these chapters. It's kind of crazy. What happened in the last chapter? The last chapter was pretty lighthearted, thank goodness. Alyssa, we found out that Alyssa's pregnant. What else happened? Lily had her grand opening of her flower shop, and that was pretty much the basics, like the most important things that happened in the last chapter. Nothing too crazy. So let's go ahead and jump right into chapter 13. Also, look how cute my shirt is. Why is it so cute? Anyway, so chapter 13 starts off with what appears to be text messages between Ryle and Lily. So it says, Ryle, are you at home or still at work? Me, work should be done in about an hour. Ryle, can I come see you? Me, you know how people say there is no such thing as a stupid question? They're wrong. That was a stupid question. Ryle, and then he sent like a smiley face. Half an hour later, he's knocking at the front door of the flower shop. I closed the shop almost 3 hours ago, but I'm still here trying to get caught up on the chaos that was the first month. The store is still too new to get an accurate prediction of how well or bad it's doing. Some days are great and some are so slow I sent Alyssa home. But overall, I'm happy with how it's going so far. And happy with how things are going with Ryle. I unlocked the door to let him in. He's in light blue scrubs again, and he still has the stethoscope around his neck. Fresh from work. Very nice touch. I swear, every time I see him straight off a shift, I have to hide the stupid grin on my face. I give him a quick kiss and then turn back toward my office. I have a few things to finish up and then we can go back to my place. He follows me into my office and closes the door. You got a couch? He asks, looking around my office. I spent some of this week putting the finishing touches on it. I brought a couple of lamps so I don't have to turn on the overpowering fluorescent lights. The lamps give the room a soft glow. I also bought a few plants to keep here permanently. It's no garden, but it's as close as it gets. It's come a long way since the room was being used as storage for vegetable crates. Ryle walks over to the couch and falls down on it, face first. Take your time, he mumbles into the pillow. I'll just nap until you finish. I sometimes worry about how hard he pushes himself with work, but I don't say anything. I've been sitting in my office going on 12 hours now, so I don't have much room to talk when it comes to being too ambitious. I spend the next 15 or so minutes finalizing orders. When I'm finished, I close my laptop and look over at Ryle. I thought he'd be asleep, but instead he's on his side with his head propped up on his hand. He's been watching me this whole time, and seeing the smile on his face makes me blush. I push my chair back and stand up. Lily, I think I like you too much. Oh, he says as I make my way over to him. I scrunch up my nose as he sits up on the couch and pulls me onto his lap. Too much? That doesn't sound like a compliment. That's because I don't know if it is, he says. He adjusts my legs on either side of him and then wraps his arms around my waist. This is my first real relationship. I don't know if I'm supposed to like you this much yet. I don't want to scare you. I'm sorry, but the fact that he's never had a relationship, and in the beginning they said he's like 27, and he's never had a relationship. That's like low-key kind of red flaggy, you know? I don't know about that one, girl. I don't want to scare you away. I laugh. Like that could ever happen. You work way too much to smother me. He rubs his hands on my back. Does it bother you that I work too much? I shake my head. No. I worry about you sometimes because I don't want you to burn yourself out. But I don't mind that I have to share you with your passion. I actually really like how ambitious you are. It's kind of sexy. It might even be my favorite thing about you. You know what I like the most about you? Our already know this answer, I say, smiling my mouth. He leans his head back against the couch. Oh yeah, that does come first. But do you know what my second favorite thing about you is? I shake my head. You don't pressure me to be something I'm incapable of being. You accept me exactly how I am. I smile. Well, in all fairness, you're a little different from when I first met you. You aren't so anti-girlfriend anymore. That's because you make it easy, he says, sliding a hand inside the back of my shirt. It's easy being with you. I can still have the career I've always wanted, but you make it 10 times better with the way you support me. When I'm with you, I feel like I get to have my cake and eat it too. I don't know why I don't like that. Now both of his hands are beneath my shirt, pressed against my back. He pulls me towards him and kisses me. I grin against his mouth and whisper, "Is it the best cake you've ever tasted?" I feel like it's about to get nasty, you guys. One of his hands moves to the back of my bra and he unfastens it with ease. I'm pretty sure, but maybe I need another taste of it to be positive. What's happening? He pulls my shirt and bra over my head. I begin to push myself off of him so I can pull off my jeans. But he pulls me back onto his lap. He grabs his stethoscope and puts it to his ears, then presses the diaphragm against my chest right over my heart. What's got your heart so worked up, Lily? I shrug innocently. It might have a little to do with you, Dr. Kincaid. He drops the end of the stethoscope, then lifts me off of him, pushing me back onto the couch. He spreads my legs and kneels down on the couch between them, placing the stethoscope against my chest again. He uses his other hand to hold himself up as he continues listening to my heart. I'd say you're at about 90 beats per minute, he says. Is that good or bad? He grins and lowers himself on top of me. I'll be satisfied when it reaches 140. Yeah, if it reaches 140, I'm thinking I'll be satisfied too. Okay. He lowers his mouth to my chest and my eyes fall shut when I feel what I feel. We're not gonna go into detail, okay? He takes me in his mouth, keeping the stethoscope pressed against my chest the entire time. You're at about 100 now, he says. He wraps the stethoscope around his neck again and then pulls back, unbuttoning my jeans. Once he slides them off of me, he turns me over until I'm on my stomach, my arms draped over the arm of the chair. Get on your knees, he says. What? What are you saying? Get on your knees, he says. No. I do what he says, and before I'm even adjusted, I feel the cold metal of the stethoscope meet my chest again. This time, his arms snaked around me from behind. I remain still, and he listens to my heartbeat. His other hand slowly begins to find its way to places. Yeah, we're just gonna say to places. We don't need to go into detail, you guys, okay? I grip the couch, but try to keep the noises to a minimum while he listens to my heart. 110, he says, still unsatisfied. He pulls my hips back to meet him, and then I can feel him freeing himself from his scrubs. He grips my hip with one hand while shoving my undergarments aside with the other. Then he pushes forward until he's all the way in me. I'm grasping the couch with two desperate fists when he pauses to listen to my heart again. Lily, he says with mock disappointment. 120, not quite where I want you. The stethoscope disappears again and his arm curls against my wrist. His hand slides down my stomach and settles between myself. I can no longer keep up with his rhythm. I can barely even stay on my knees. He somehow holds me up with one hand and destroying me in the best possible way with his other hand. Right when I start to tremble, he pulls me upright until my back meets his chest. He's still working, But now he's focused on my heart again as he moves the stethoscope around to the front of my chest. I let out a noise and he presses his lips to my ear. Shh, no noises. This is so awkward. I have no idea how I make it through the next 30 seconds without making another sound. One of his arms is wrapped around me with the stethoscope pressed to my chest. His other arm is tight around my stomach as his hand continues its magic. Down below, he's still somehow deep inside, and I'm trying to move against him, but he's rock solid as the tremors begin to rush through me. My legs are shaking and my hands are at my sides, gripping the tops of his thighs as it takes every ounce of my strength not to scream out his name. I'm still shaking when he lifts his hand and places the diaphragm against my wrist. After several seconds, he pulls the stethoscope away and tosses it to the floor. 150, he says with satisfaction. He pulls out of me and flips me onto my back. Then his mouth is on mine and he's working again. My body is too weak to move and I can't even open my eyes and watch him. He moves against me several times and then holds still, groaning into my mouth. He jumps on top of me, tense yet shaking. He kisses my neck, then his lips meet the tattoo of the heart on my collarbone. He finally settles against my neck and sighs. Have I already mentioned tonight how much I like you? He asks. I laugh. Once or twice. Consider this the third time, he says. I like you. Everything about you, Lily. Being with you, being outside of you, being near you. I like it all. I smile, loving how his words feel against my skin. Inside my heart, I open my mouth to tell him I like him too, but my voice is cut off by the sound of his phone. He groans against my neck, then pulls out of me and reaches for his phone. He pulls his scrubs back into place and laughs as he looks at his caller ID. It's my mother, he says, leaning over and kissing the top of my knee, then resting against the back of the couch. He tosses the phone aside, then stands and walks over to my desk, grabbing a box of tissues. This is always awkward, having to clean up after sex, but I can't say it's ever been this awkward before, knowing his mother is on the other end of that ring. Once all my clothes are back in place, he pulls me against him on the couch and I lie down on top of him, resting my head on his chest. It's after 10 now and I'm so comfortable I debate just sleeping here for the night. Ryle's phone makes another noise, alerting him to a new voicemail. The thought of seeing him interact with his mother makes me smile. Alyssa talks about their parents some, but I've never really talked to Ryle about them before. Do you get along with your parents? His arm is stroking mine gently. Yeah, I do. They're good people. We hit a rough patch when I was a teenager, but we worked through it. I talk to my mother almost daily now. I fold my arms over his chest and rest my chin on them, looking up at him. Will you tell me about your mother? Alyssa told me they moved to England a few years ago and that they were in Australia on vacation, but that was like a month ago. He laughs. My mother is very overbearing, very judgmental, especially of the people she loves the most. She's never missed a single church service, and I have never heard her refer to my father as anything other than Dr. Kincaid. Despite the warnings, he smiles. The whole time he talks about her. Your father's a doctor too. He nods. Psychiatrist. He chose a field that also allowed him to have a normal life. Smart man. Do they ever visit you in Boston? Not really. My mother hates flying, so Alyssa and I fly to England a couple times a year. She does want to meet you though, so you might be going with us the next trip. I grin. You told your mother about me? Of course, he says. This is kind of a monumental thing, you know, me having a girlfriend. She calls me every day to make sure I haven't screwed it up somehow. I laugh, which makes him reach for his phone. You think I'm kidding? I guarantee she somehow brought you up in the voicemail she just left. He presses a few keys and then begins to play the voicemail. Hey sweetheart, it's Mom. yesterday. Miss you. Give Lily a hug for me. You do still see her, right? Alyssa says you can't stop talking about her. She is still your girlfriend, right? Okay, Gretchen's here. We're having high tea. Love you. Kiss, kiss. I press my face against his chest and laugh. We've only been dating a few months. How much do you talk about me? He pulls my hand up between us and kisses it. Too much, Lily. Way too much. I smile. I can't wait to meet them. Not only did they raise an incredible daughter, but they made you. That's pretty impressive. His arms tighten around me and he kisses the top of my head. What's your brother's name? I ask him. I can feel a slight stiffness in him after I ask that. I regret bringing it up, but it's too late to take it back. Emerson. I can tell by his voice that it's not something he wants to talk about right now. Instead of pressing it further, I lift my head and scoot forward, pressing my mouth to his. I should know better. Kisses can't seem to stop at just kisses when it comes to me and Ryle. In a matter of minutes, he's all over me again, but this time it's everything the other time wasn't. This time, we make love. And that's what chapter was that? 13? I'm sorry, you guys, that got real, whatever that was, real quick. It was a lot more detailed and a lot more rated R, but I kind of tried to dumb it down a bit as I was reading it because it just felt very much wrong saying those types of things out loud. You know, I couldn't do it. But if you're curious about what they actually say, I don't know what to tell you. Thank you guys so much for watching this